You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile we put Ghana first. And we welcome you. This show is brought to you by the candid sponsorship of Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. HS University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntax Tanks is strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance. Our clients are Pashing International Facilities Management Association. They are proud to be associated with Newsfile. And Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. Valex Lease, that is your affordable documents management solutions. Now, our guests are seated. Let me introduce them to you as we begin the discussion. Right from my immediate left is Senyor Hosi, the bluntly speaking Senyor Hosi, convener, the One Ghana movement, and trustee of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. They have issued a statement on the back of the military and security being chased away by Galamseyers. Vera Abnado is Programs Officer, CDD Ghana. She's in charge of elections, rule of law, and anti-corruption. Of course, you know we have a matter of corruption to deal with. The Shraj report on the GRA and the procurements to 3 companies where the former Director General, Amishadai Owusu Amwa, Reverend, has been indicted. Dennis Miracle Sabwaji will join us. He's Director of Communications for the Baumia campaign. And Theophilus Jimega Jr. is lawyer, engineer, and member of the NDC National Communication Team. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much for making time to join us.
Good morning. Good
morning. Great. All right, so, of course, we have issues with our rice, not only rice, but cereals that we are maize and so on, and they are getting rotten. They are sitting in the barns. They are sitting. Some of them, they don't want to harvest them yet because there's no point in harvesting them. And yet, those who have grown them, they are losing millions because they took bank loans, among other things. Let's listen to a couple of people who have had something to say about this. Anthony Morrison on the green glut. We also have Joshua Tuatobo, and also Dr. Amma Enin on the green glut. Let's listen to them and come to the studio. And you will also appreciate why Senyor Hosi is here. He's a farmer.
So let's put this into context. During the drought, we got support from the World Bank, about $135 million. We also got some money voted by Parliament. I think you remember we were on this set. Yeah. We discussed the money that was voted to support farmers with regards to mitigation and social interventions. And all this we imported, government imported then, a lot of maize and rice to be distributed to farmers. And
to plant?
No. As a way of social protection interventions. They have lost their fields, so they needed to be supported with food.
Okay.
So we imported these grains. Now, fast forward, some livestock feed producers in the country also went to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and demanded that they should be given permits to import maize. Now, between last year and this year, we had imported close to 350,000 metric tons.
My explanation is different because what is causing this drought is not, this glut is not because of the drought last year. it's just because there is no buyer for the rice. I can tell you that from October last year up to now, as we are speaking, all the major millers of rice in Ghana have stopped milling. For the first time in 10 years, Avnash has not bought a single grain this year. Now, Avnash is one of the biggest rice millers in the country.
And why? Why haven't they bought any? Why haven't they bought any?
Yeah, why? Because when you talk to them, the reason they haven't bought is because there's no market. I mean, there's huge influx of rice browns from Asia into the market. If you go to Wale Wale now, or Bolga, or you come to Tamale and you visit the shops, thousands of different brands.
What happened was farmers produced at a certain cost. At the time they were producing, the dollar was at a certain rate. So they bought fertilizer at a certain rate. They got input seed and all of those things at a certain rate. When they were done and they harvested, then the CD started appreciating. So when that happened, then it became cheaper for people to bring in rice, foreign rice. And so people brought in cheap foreign rice, but farmers had produced at a certain cost. And so the foreign rice became cheaper, and buffer stock was also in transition. So there was a change over in government, and they weren't buying as they were supposed to. So there was quite a little bit of a murky situation at the time.
Right. So we have been doing very well in importing, rice. As the Financial Times reported sometime in February of 2023, we have spent about 6.8 billion Ghana cedis, they're approximately $560 million US in importing rice into this country. This is not different exactly from what annually we appear to be spending on this cereal. And we have continuously encouraged our farmers, local farmers. They should grow the rice, so we can be self-sufficient, produce them, here, and also finish them up here. And this is the circumstance where they find themselves. They will go rotting. They are sitting in their warehouses. And now they have to harvest again. They are not even, thinking about that because no one is buying them. Let me begin with saying, this is a major policy failure for someone like you who is directly involved in farming in rice. How bad is the situation?
It's terrible. But this is not a glass problem, so it's not a glass, it's clearly a policy failure, and I don't think governments take rice seriously. They just pay lip service. And I still don't see the policy direction, really, in this particular matter. And it's a very simple matter. It's a cost matter. It's a cost matter. The local rice has two issues. One, there's a behavioral issue that has to do with utility from people's taste preferences. That's one. But if you get to understand local rice, you realize it's actually tastier than all the basmatis and all that.
Correct.
It's very easy. Anytime I do blind tasting, everybody just takes the local rice, running for jollof, everything. It's the best, anytime. I'm not a rice fan, but when I taste local rice, I get stuck to it. And I think we are sort of overcoming that. The real thing is the economics of it. I'll tell you, let's just do some maths together so everybody will just sort of understand what goes on. Producing paddy today should be about 25,000 cedis for a hectare. And that should give you about 5 tons, thereabouts. So 5 tons, take your calculator, divide, that's per hectare. So 25,000 divided by 5 tons, that should bring you to 5,000 cedis a ton. Divide that by 1,000, and that gives you 5 cedis per kilo. So you add 5 cedis per kilo for paddy. Now you do 5 cedis per kilo, add 1 cedi for milling. That's 6 cedis. Now, these 6 cedis, by the time you are done, you won't get 100% of it back. The recovery rate is about 0.65. So divide that by, so 6 divided by 0.65. That tells you you're going to get 9.2 cedis for a total mix of fully milled rice. Now, this fully milled rice, just about 60%, that's like a best deal. So really half of it is what is a long grain that you typically will consume. All right, then the rest are heavily broken. So even let's just take this one as your base. And in all this, I'm talking about cost. There's no financial cost. There's no capex, nothing. Meaning that the variable cost you throw in is what you're just taking in. Transportation, zero. Margin, zero. I'm just telling you, pure cost matter. Right. Then you come and see what's happening on the market. Now, multiply this by 50 kilos. This is 461 cedis. No capex, no transportation, no margin. Zero, nothing. No loss from carriage. Now, forget about that one at all. Nothing. This is where you are. 461 cedis for 50 kg. And this is not long grain. This is scattered thing. All right? The long grain today, which is just about 50% of this 460, one mix of a kilo, is sold today at about, for the imported ones, around 400 for those ones that compare. 400 cedis. So even at 400 cedis, getting an import at 400 cedis, your local rice production costs nothing added. All right, it's 461, and it's not even at, it's not 100%, it's not a 5% broken level. So this one, particularly 40% of it is broken. Only 60% is long grain. So if you actually want to match this, then it means they are actually going to be going up in cost at around 600 cedis. In cost. So the rice today, even in the places where we have produced rice, you find more imported brands on the shelf than you find here. But this is the real cost of producing it. And this is raw, bare bone. No financial cost, no transportation, no middleman margin, nothing. This is where we are. Who is going to buy? Now, the person has produced this at 5 cedis. And zero margin. And this 5 cedis is one of the efficient, production you will see. Other than that, typically you are doing around 6 cedis a kilo. Today, people are being forced to sell at 5. And I just told you, this is not, if the farmer hasn't made a margin, the producer hasn't made a margin, the miller hasn't, nobody has made a margin. So even the farmer at the farm gate, deciding to sell from 6 to 1 to 5, is losing a cedi a kilo of paddy. Meanwhile, you should typically be selling it at maybe 8, thereabouts. Look at the differential you have. And I'll tell you, you had, last year we had the dollar at 17, right? Am I right?
You're right.
Almost. Okay. So we had 11 divided by 17. Okay, so you've had a 34% recovery on the value. All right, so you have the dollar drop by about 36%. Check the other side, or 35%. Check the other side. I take fertilizer. Fertilizer used to be 420, 390 now. Now it's 390 now, and it used to be before 420. So 390. Everybody carry your calculator. We are doing it together. I don't want anybody to say, senior, come say something. Divided by 420. All right, minus 1. Okay? You just have a 7% drop in the cost of fertilizer. But the dollar has dropped by 35%. The import reacts to that dollar quicker. So where are we? So the cost of imports has dropped by about 35%. The input for farmers have only dropped by 7%. The capex that I bought last year is still there. So, and all this, I've not even added capex. So the variable cost today does not make sense for you to even plant. So me, I just did test planting. I've only made for me and my wife and my children. If you come to my house, you eat some. I'm not selling anything.
Oh, this year won't get rice to buy from you.
No, forget. I stopped though from last year. I knew that the policy was wrong. We did a bit more, a little last year. I was doing 1,500, almost 1,500 acres a year. And I smelt my pepper. And I realized the only way to fix this is for us to have proper policy. Our policy makers either don't know what they are doing or they are just stealing.
What will make this right?
To make it starts with policy. So I'll tell you the other bit of it. And it's all driven by the importers. They manipulate the market. When I went full haul, and I want to commend the likes of Dansaki, EcoBank, who really funded me and supported me at the time. They saw it. I started in August because there are different seasons. So the first season, maybe around August, you should be planting for the second season. You do that earlier. You probably harvest around June, July, and a bit into August, depending on your timing. But so if I really want to hit the Christmas, we are planting, we are preparing land again in August. September, we are in. Early December, we have harvested, we are milling, we are hitting the Bronya market. Paddy was 2-3. It made a lot of economic sense. I was investing a couple of $1 million in trade and also in capex. All right, building one of the very modern, mill, world class. By December, it was 6,500, and I have a fair party pricing model because even though I own the land, I do in-growing with the people in the vicinity. So they bring their labor, I don't pay them, I give them all the inputs. They work on land I have leased from the irrigating facility, and then we value it based on the market. Then you have the importers come around, buy some small 2-3 tons, and you used to redefine the price in the market. So they'll sabotage you. So your price goes up, and that becomes the cost of production, which is equal to the importers' retail price in Accra. First, I couldn't make sense out of it. Even when the dollar was recovering, it was still going up. Only for us to come and realize that this is what the importers were doing. At that point, I realized that if you don't have a way to control that thing, they'll keep messing us up every day. And the only way to match
this is what the importers. What is this that they were doing? What
they were doing was to influence your cost of production by influencing the cost of paddy. And they don't have to do too much. They have no investments. They don't own any mills. If they own mills, it's very cheap, some useless thing. And they will just come, once you are dealing with maybe 4,000 tons of paddy, they'll go next door and then double the price of their paddy for just maybe 10 tons. Or 5 tons. Then suddenly that will define the price for the entire 4,000 tons that you are carrying. Now that 4,000 tons will actually lead to it being the cost of your production when you even try and process will be his retail price. His retail price in Accra. You can never compete with that guy. So right ab initio, you are making a loss. Because whilst he has influenced your cost of paddy, he has reduced his retail price for his imported rice. Guess what happened to me? I had to suspend my staff because I was now incurring a cost of 6,500. And these same importers came back and came to buy my paddy from me. After yanking up my price to 6,500, they came back to buy it for me at 4,500 because they realized I couldn't mill and I was stranded. It was simple. So quietly, I packed myself. And I told government at the time, if you want to deal with this thing, it means you must align production with your import policy. Ideally, I'm giving you a quota to import because I want us to become self-sufficient with rice. If we are consuming 1 million metric tons of rice, for example, I'll give you maybe 100,000 ton quota for import. But it means that over the next 3-4 years, you should compensate it with production of equal. So there's a certain monetary mechanism in place. Now, if the person importing and the one producing have the same interest, because I'm importing, you not, for the lack of a better word, screw our production. You be fair and balanced with it. In another 4-5 years, we can be self-sufficient as far as rice is concerned in that matter. But now, that aside, now you come to the current situation. The current situation, besides this risk that existed, which will always be there, so you see a lot of people go in and they come out. The other bit has to do with the cost of production today. And that's why I was quite disappointed with the way the government managed the recovery of the currency. Honestly, we definitely needed that one, but I don't think that policy was well balanced looking at the implication on local production, which comes back to hurt us in the long run. So there's a short run look at this recovery, and there's a long run look at it. There's a total fiasco as far as you look at the long run one, because there are also no interventions to manage the local production shocks. So we've come down. Everybody is, hey. What has gotten cheaper is imports that have gotten cheaper. But local production has gotten worse because local production cost is still the same. The salaries that we had when the dollar was at 17, I don't see those salaries going down because dollar has gone down. So they have a number of things that still stand where they are. Our cost of funds has fairly changed. Just until recently that we actually seen maybe a downward for corporate borrowing or farmers borrowing, not government's treasury bills. Yes, they've done very well with all that, trying to deal with the macros. But how the macro relates to the micro has not been well thought through. And again, political thinking. That's why I say sometimes the thoroughness of policy is a problem in this country. We do more politicking than we do proper policy making. How are people having a 7% drop in fertilizer, going to be able to match a 35% drop in the cost of imports, assuming world production is the same? Where are we buying from? We are buying from Thailand, we are buying from Vietnam. Do you know what they do in Thailand? The government assures them of the price of paddy. The price of paddy, you go, I think it's 9,500 baht or whatever their currency is. Today, it's fixed. So they give them different incentive to make sure that the cost to the farmer is always protected. Today, what are we getting from Ghana? Government has said buffer stock something. I think they are giving us about 625 cedis a bag. All right, okay. So if you are going to match that quality to a certain point, maybe you get to around 550 cedis or 600 cedis your cost. Now, how do you recover your capex? How do you recover your financing cost? The price that has been set, I'm going to come to something else there, is not viable. It is better than maybe you may have now, but you're still making a loss anyway. Then this other part, go and give buffer stock the food, the produce. You stay for 1 year, your money hasn't come. You must not go and lie on the floor. So it's either we are not serious about agriculture, or we are just intellectually bankrupt, morally bankrupt to want to fix what is the easiest win in our country, agriculture. Agriculture is the one transformative policy that can be achieved effectively within a single electoral cycle. If your brain is right and you have proper people around you, you can actually make Ghana rice self-sufficient within a space of 5 years, maximum 6. Most of it will be realized during your one-term cycle.
Okay.
But there's a problem. I don't know. It's as if we didn't go to school. I don't know how we will explain this kind of thing. So those farmers, they are selling today at a loss. They are selling at a loss. The paddy is at a loss. The rice itself, trying to get it off the shelf, is not happening. It's not a glut. It's a policy problem. It's not as though we've overproduced in Ghana. We haven't overproduced. We're importing over a million tons. And if, look, go to Agri, they don't even know how much local production is. They don't know. They should speak the truth. The data, they don't have it. I was one of the major producers. Nobody came to ask me exactly how much I was doing in that district. Nobody. Nobody come and calculate what's your milk capacity. Your milk capacity is maybe 5 tons and now 10 tons and now multiply by 8. Then they assume that you are producing the whole year. Then come and tell Ghana, please, they should stop all these things they are talking about. Avnas is not one of the it is the largest, unless something has changed. 20 ton per metric, 20 ton per hour meal. Look at what's happening there. And it's in Tamale. And they've added another one there. So why is Avnas not buying a single grain? Why? Avnas produces parboiled because of the nature of the northern grain. They don't harvest early, again because of equipment. And you know that place is warmer. So it dries quickly. So when you mill it, the recovery of you may still get maybe your 60 or 65%. But the value is in the longer grain. The longer grain portion will be just so low.
Okay, you catch a breather and let me move on to. So I'm not. Excuse me, and Dennis, welcome.
Thank you. Just
what is wrong with us? About 3 years ago, I interviewed Abraham Odum. Okay. He's a Ghanaian. He did something. I think he was was either a DC or something in the Kufuor regime and so on. He was in Nigeria and they used him very well. Yeah. Nigeria reduced its rice import by more than half because he was leading the agricultural revolution in rice in Nigeria to make them self-sufficient. Yeah. We are talking about jobs, alternative jobs for Galamseyers, people who feel there's no job, they must do Galamsey. Yeah. Manasseh writes a piece and says, President Mahama can give a legacy. His father was into rice farming. He himself is also into this farming. And yet, these leaders can't seem to have a clue as to how to correct this imbalance. We're spending over almost 7 billion to import rice. Yeah. When our farmers here can do that, and even when they do just a bit of it, we allow it to rot. Yeah. Fertilizer is expensive, everything is expensive, the road network from which they will transport is terrible.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us?
We are just not serious, like Sayo said. And if you're a farmer's daughter like me, growing up in a farming community, we even saw farming as a punishment. We don't even want to go to farming because my dad would say, oh, if you want to move forward from this village, you better go to school. So in my mind, I go to school and farming is for the others until you get to that stage where you realize, okay, farming is not just for my fathers and mothers. We could equally do it. And we haven't even changed that much. My nephew, my mother takes my nephew to the farm and they're all crying. They don't want to go to the farm because it's still seen as a punishment for the younger ones. And young people don't want to go into farming. I just heard him say he stopped farming. We can't build a nation like that. And it is also not a production issue like
you put so much money in it and he was running at a loss. Yes. The banks will come after you.
Yes.
Like these people are complaining now that the banks are after them. They took loans.
Yeah. And
I had to sell off a lot of my assets just to cover millions of dollars of my exposure.
And we are a country that consumes a lot of rice. So even with what we are producing, it's not up to what the nation's capacity. I think what we are producing is just about 30%.
It's not true. I'm not sure we are doing 20%.
Yeah.
You know, let's get it's not true. I've told you that people just come and calculate what capacity you have, and then they'll come and tell that's what you have.
Okay,
you're not producing.
Continue.
Nobody has
and I'll tell you, my shock when they were complaining about this glut situation, it's like an annual situation. When it gets into December, then they come to tell us about it. Yes. And I engaged the people who were in charge and also in the associations. And I learned that even the poultry we consume in this country, we don't produce 1% of it. If you check the official record, they say we produce about 3% of it. Yeah. But the people who were at the forefront sat in this studio and said we don't produce 1% of the poultry we consume.
Even the old chicken, we import them from Holland. We don't even have. So I think that, so national buffer stock was set up. I think the mandate is to buy. In fact, if you read their own mandate, they say to anticipate, they are going to anticipate increase in production. Buffer, so they are set up to buy when there's bumper harvest and then they buy. But now I think their main focus, they've turned themselves into buying for the free SHS program, and so they are not concentrating on that. And it's a food security issue. Some say just last year, the Minister of Agri said we had to import rice because there was drought. Like within just a year, now we have more rice that we can't even, we should buy this rice. So for me, I think that if buffer stock can actually concentrate on its mandates, restructure it, I think the issue with stocking up with free SHS food and other things, maybe another conversation we can look at. But if we can have buffer stock to really get this, and as a country, we can't say this rice is going.
To you, one problem they are complaining about is that when the government has instructed that buffer stocks should buy from them, the price at which they are buying is like, we know you don't have a market. You either give it to us or they rot. So they buy it at a very low price.
Now they've shifted their attention more on the free SHS.
And when you buy it, they won't pay you 1 year, and you are still waiting for your money.
So the attention is more on the free SHS food. And if we can just take that away from them, then they can concentrate on it. We can have a conversation with them. How do you buy it? How do you need resources to buy the production at a good price? In fact, another point is to have them provide security for farmers. And so they are to serve the interests of the farmers, the interests of the country as part of the food security agenda. So if we can have this go out and then all their need, in fact, to even do that, all their warehouses, I'm not sure if they want to buy it now, if they have warehouses for all their warehouses are being start with free SHS for now is centralized. The schools are not even buying or purchasing their own food. So maybe we can take that from them, let them concentrate on. Then we can talk about even buying the price at which and then paying farmers as well, because the way we treat farmers is really terrible. I go home and my mother brings, he said, oh, why? She said, excited. She brought pepper that, oh, at this time I tried to do pepper and I'm like, how much are you going to sell this? It's like 8 cedis. I'm like, huh? You want to sell all of this for 8 cedis? You go up and down and just a cup of this is 8 cedis. Sometimes we even want to tell her to stop farming, so that we just give her them because she gets money, she wants to buy this, she's investing everything into the family and nothing comes out. We're like, we haven't seen you bring anything. We are still taking from us. So we are not doing, and with this, you think I want to stop what I'm doing to go and enjoy my mother. So that is real challenge that we need to fix as part of the employment issues, as part of food security, because we can't continue like this. That is what Buffer Stop was set up, and we need them to really work on their mandate. And for me, my second point, Samson, is that the cost of production, the farmers spoke about it. Access to credit. Sometimes what government will do is our free fertilizer distribution, seedlings distribution. I think that is easy for government to do. We hear more of that. But the cost, our farmers are not competitive in the market.
When the government introduces fertilizer into this country, it gets smuggled.
Yes.
These days, have you been hearing what the political parties have been talking about, how the fertilizer that was supposed to go to the farmers was being handled? The MPs were the ones supposed to take charge of them and lead their distribution. And the party people are crying that the fertilizer was either distributed in a certain way or some MPs were hoarding them and they didn't give them out because they wanted to sell them and so on.
Yeah. So for me,
we're crazy.
Yes, we have to be serious with agriculture.
So greedy, wicked.
We already have.
Our former agriculture minister said he saw it on the donkey going, and he cannot talk to the donkey.
He saw the fertilizer on the donkey. I didn't hear that.
They smuggled them out.
He said there were donkeys leaving, crossing the border into Burkina Faso. And he just saw it. He couldn't do anything because he can't talk to the donkey.
Okay, so so just to say that I think we have to be serious with this, and we don't have to let this even move beyond. It shouldn't have been an issue if buffer stock is doing what they are supposed or set up to do, and we should, I think, by a close of this month.
According to the Attorney General, the people who run the buffer stock, they are richer than the buffer stock many times.
And you know that they are not set up to do that business. That's why there are lots of scandal going there. That is not their mandate. That is not what they are supposed to do. But now they've turned this whole thing about procurement and giving the contract. They are buying school feed. That is not the mandate of buffer stock. They came in as a measure, an emergency measure to hold to be a transit for distribution to the various schools. Now we have seen some level of stability in the free SH. It was new. All of us needed to come together to look at how do we make this work. Now it has stabilized. Can we get the schools handle their own distributions and buying so that buffer stock can concentrate on food security and also security for our farmers? We can't just leave things like this.
Theophilus, you are preaching, your government is preaching and kokon kitinkiti and all of that. I really pray that it doesn't end up in the normal sloganeering that we are familiar with with the political parties and their policies. What do you know that the government is doing about this situation? Because you're talking about 24-hour economy. What you mean by 24-hour economy is that there should be enough jobs for people. There are jobs in these areas. If the rice is not bought, there will not be jobs. People will not go in there. You know, Galamsey, we are looking for alternative, livelihood for the people.
Well, to take a leaf from what Senyo said, the first thing is behavioral, about what we want to eat. I mean, even if you take all our local rice and give to free SHS or school feeding, whether they would like to use that is another thing.
Have you ever made a choice as a student as to
No.
to eat at a place?
No.
That is why you have the capacity as government
Yeah.
to drive and manage that demand problem.
Okay. So that the first one is the behavioral. And you see, there had been some times, and you mentioned, when we had the LI 2432 about import or export of grains in this country. That is still in place. However, having placed a ban on the export, we are importing. And we import a lot as compared to previously. So my understanding is that there is discussion ongoing for a bit of relaxation of the LI 2432 so as to allow our people to start to export some of the grains they produce. The other thing is that, as Senyo mentioned, the effect of having the stronger cedi is also making it that people shift to import more because it becomes more of an incentive to import. And that has been one of the things that the Bank of Ghana is working on. And to that extent, for long term, World Food Program, I understand, is talking to the Ministry of Agric, is talking to World Food Program to see if we can have the sort of mills that produce the perfumed ones. So that
we have them, Fonye.
Yes.
We have them.
Yes.
The World Food Program hasn't got anything to do with this.
Senyo,
I put up a mill. I have a 3,000-ton silo.
Senyo, let me count that.
That thing is sitting there. You run your machine twice in a year.
Senyo, I'll come to that.
2 months in a year, and we are talking about capital. That's not the problem.
Right. Senyo, you agree with me that this has been a systemic structural thing for a long time.
I agree, but you are in government.
Yes, that is why we are going with
the
all
next person by you. I'm waiting for him.
Let's finish it.
Senyo, that's why we are going for all the conversations to see that we are able to solve this for long term, so that we don't have a piecemeal situation. Yes, Vera mentioned the idea about the use of buffer stock for free SHS, etc. Currently, what they are doing is that they are looking for patient funding. Those who want to go in and buy the rice from the farmers, mindful of the fact that we don't have money now to pay. And as well, you would have been aware that the president has directed that they release 100 million Ghana cedis, much as that is small, so as to purchase some of these from the farmers. So there is talk ongoing, but the bigger thing is the bottom line, the systemic and the structural thing that has pervaded for a long time. That is what we need to address. And that is what the Ministry of Food and Buffer Stock are working on to get that solved. If we are able to have proper storage facilities, we are able to work on. Senor, please.
I'm holding him.
Okay. Yes. And another thing is the import discipline, which you sort of talk about. We need to work on our importation of rice. And if we're able to put all this into proper perspective, Senor, we'll be able to reduce rice importation and feed ourselves using our local rice. That is what is ongoing at the moment.
You sound like my JSS teacher, a great teacher. He said these things to us.
Because something. I grew up farming.
Yeah.
I grew up farming, so I understand some of the things that are ongoing. And again, you see, much as we spend so much to farm, we don't get so much when we sell. And it's because you're even walking now, you see shops. American rice, Chinese rice, and people want to troop to that instead of the local one. The first one is the behavioral. Yes, I agree with you.
I'll tell you something right now. Look at the price of what we call the wache rice, the imported one. It's around 290.
It's cheap.
I'm telling you, the cost of your production, without any margin, without even transportation, distribution cost, nothing, is around
460 plus.
Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
How can you match that one? So the consumers are rational. Even when you say it tastes better, and they get to agree that it tastes better, and the one produced here is what, over 50%
more expensive.
Why should the person go and buy that one?
So it's the cheapness that has driven the taste.
Yes,
that drives the taste.
Not necessarily.
Because if I can buy that for like 200, as he says,
not
going to buy for 460.
Not necessarily.
I will continue to buy the less expensive one, and I'll get used to that one.
It's only the people who are looking for basmati, which is a tasteless rice. You are disgraced chasing basmati. I'm telling you, the average Joe who you are looking at, the guy is seeing a price of 219 cedis for a 50 kg wache level rice. That's what he would live with. How much is our own?
Senor, let me come here to what Samson has just said. The other bit is, as I said, the government is working with the farmers, the Chamber of Agri-Business, and you interviewed one of them on what needs to be done to correct some of this price differential. Yes, I agree. It is not necessarily the taste that is price that is driving the taste. Sometimes price can be inelastic. Yeah, you have 2 cedis today, you are eating kokonte. Tomorrow you have 4 cedis. Instead of eating more kokonte, you decide to eat jollof rice. So it is not necessarily the taste that is driving the price, but the things that I've itemized that you said your Greek teacher has said. But Senor, the long term is the talking that is going on with WFP and the World Bank. Again, the policies, some of which were introduced the last time. I don't want us to appear political in this.
I'm waiting for the two of you.
No, we don't have to.
Say, hold on.
No, we don't have to appear political.
If you keep mentioning his name, he will reply.
Okay, Senor, I won't mention. We don't have to appear. I don't have to appear political with this. Yes, there were decisions that were taken the last time. We need to correct them. I give an example of the LI 2432. About the ban on the export, yet we gave permits for people to import more.
But somebody who wants to run for president, carry on.
Okay, something. So basically, if we are able to get flexibility along this LI and get some of this removed, and we are also able to export, the Burkinabes even are no more buying from us. And if they want to buy, it will be a smuggle, and they don't want to do smuggling. So some of this happened, and of course, we had drought last time, and we also have for a long time of the areas we only have one harvesting season. So they harvest one, we don't have the one they harvest all across year. So what they are doing now is if they get the patient funding and people who are interested in buying, then they want to spread it across. They don't just go to Tamale, they go to Apifre, they go to Akachi to buy across. That way they are able to spread the little amount they have among all the farmers. Then the prices can be stable.
That policy is wrong. That one has
so hold on, hold on. Yes. So Dennis, Council, as we have come to know it, almost every political leader knows that a Greek is a potent force to change the destiny of this country. So why are we here?
Let me just, before I even come to that one, you want to smuggle me into a space that you've allowed others to go around first. So I heard Mr. President make a point about policy failure, and I started reading if there is a policy. I wanted to find where the policy is first. Because then I knew that if there's a policy, then I can interrogate and see whether it's failed. But then I realized there's no policy. But you see, this is the cost you pay when you artificially manipulate your currency. You see, economics, the way it works, you can't fake yourself around it. It will bite you at the bottom. And that's where we are.
Explain what you're...
He made the point, he explained it already, so that I can preserve my time well. That when people wake up one day, people who have gone to buy agri inputs at a certain cost, and they've put it in the ground, and they are waiting, they're only tendering the tin and waiting for it to get to harvest. Then just on few weeks to harvest, the currency, based on which they bought the input, drops by 30-something%. Then those who don't plant, they just go and buy that currency for free at that cheaper cost and go and bring additional rice. What's going to happen to the farmer? And we kept saying it, and we've been saying it, that we understand that the dollar thing is fanciful, it's beautiful, politically it's nice. But if you continue to treat it this way, several other real sectors of your economy will suffer.
This is not happening the first time.
No, I'm just saying.
For as long as I have been host of this show, over a decade, it's an annual ritual.
Yeah, that's why we are here. That's why we voted all those people out, and there's a new one. So let's deal with them. All those people don't matter. They are not. We don't care about them. They are gone.
My point is that the currency manipulation you raise may not be the issue.
So that's why when you came, you told us that you won't do that. You give us a sustainable currency. If you're not giving it, we'll tell you. Because you are doing what the previous people did. Why are you here? You're wasting our time. Let me come back to my issue. So you see, exporters are suffering because of this same currency manipulation. Their buyers are stopping the purchase of Ghanaian export products because they used to spend, let's say, $1 to buy from us. They wake up one night, they need $3 to buy the same thing. I'm just saying, but the thing can move from 14.5 to 10 within 6 weeks. So now they turn around and they go to Rwanda, they go to other places to go and buy. That is one end of it. And when the export is suffering, you know the implications. People are losing jobs. You are even going to mount more pressure on your currency and look for more money to manage it because you're not getting any coming in. This farmer situation is just one of the sectors who are silently dying as a result of the currency manipulation. There's no doubt about that. You can't work your way around it. And I keep asking myself, who are the real beneficiaries of this fanciful policy of pumping money to artificially keep our currency at a certain point? The business people, the rich people. Because something, go and take every single product from January till now and tell me how many of them have seen price reduction. For which reason we say that, oh, you brought our currency from 14 to 10. As a result of that, the pen that I used to buy for 1 cedi is now 70 pesos. Hooray.
Prices have dropped.
Oh, please. That's what I'm saying. Give me the how many. I was careful. You and I, you trained me. So I was careful with the choice. I said, how many? If you go to the housing sector, the construction sector, you can pick only 2 items. All the rest are going up. You know why? Because you, Mr. President, you know that when you go and buy dollar at 11.5, which is actually what the banks are selling it on, not 10, 11.5, and you go and import from China, you would never use 11.5 to do your pricing. You use 13. You know why? Because you are not sure whether by the time you are done selling the items you brought to Ghana, the dollar will still be at 11.5 or will be at 13. Because we're here in this country. When dollar moved from 14.5 on January 7th, dramatically, to 10.4 within 3 months. Then within 5 weeks, it moved from 10.4 to another 13. So no businessman in Ghana is actually using the exchange rates that the Bank of Ghana is quoting to trade. In fact, Council, do you know what is happening? The businessmen and the rich people are the only beneficiaries of the exchange rate manipulation because it is not passed on to the consumers. They go and buy it cheap when it comes plenty like we are doing now. Then they go and import and they keep it at a certain rate. That for me is something that we cannot pretend to gloss over. We can continue, but every month, every quarter, another sector like we are seeing with the rice will come up. Now, how do we deal with this? My view is simple. My view is that when I look at the figures, as for the data from the government institutions, me, I'm with Senor on it. It's all lies. Governments have no data. We don't have data. I'm telling you, we don't have accurate. And when I say no data, I mean accurate data.
Yeah.
We cannot even tell you in accuracy how many houses we even have in the country in the first place. In accuracy, I've been a DCE before. I know what I'm talking about. We can't tell you in accuracy how many houses we have. In fact, when we even start doing the counting, by the time we are done, there's been more development behind us. By the time we are coming to run the analytics.
Because it takes so long to
So long, because of the systems and the processes, that is one. Now, they tell you that, Greg, when I read those things and you see World Bank will come and pick some data from us and they are saying metric tons. Which metric tons? Who is measuring what? Who is talking about? How are they getting that data?
I was prosecuting just in my district. Nobody walked up to ask me who. I don't know at the time who even had any kind of infrastructure as I had done. In fact, my project was the only project before MPP Nanado won. When it came to the water region, it was the only thing that the regional minister to come and show. We were a private funded thing. Government did not fund it. It was purely funded by
you
come. Who who funds? Who funds? You didn't support the
government enabling environment.
Who funds? You didn't support it. But I'm just saying, nobody walked up to us to ask us what is our production level. For me to tell you that this is my outturn for the period, for the season, nothing. All through to date, nobody's come to ask.
So the fact is that we don't actually have the real data. But we can work with projections. That is also allowed. In the absence of anything, we can work with some projections.
What do you see or have known or identified, particularly that you are working with a campaign team for the former vice president, as what needs to be done about this sector?
We need to finish. You see, we need to stop pretending and admit that the fundamentals of our economy, which we need to set as a base, is not there. And that includes data. And not just data in hard copy like we do even when I went to a campaign not as MC. You know why our property rate data is? Excel is, Excel is not a data Excel is manual. Let me put it that way. Excel is actually manual. If you want Excel to speak to data, you have to do some pivoting, do some manipulation. But the Excel as it was just columns. Serial number, name of property owner, then the property, then how much you should pay. That's how we had our data.
Easy to miss,
The point is that until we spend time to really build our databases across sector, identifying farmers and identifying them by their GPS locations and getting them to input. And when we say input, not the one that every time we hire temporary people that go and work and report to. We need farmers to be able to update us real time on their farms. How many more acreages they've added. You come to my farm. I have started farming. I've done 2 acres. You come and report and go. Next week I add another 2 acres. You don't have that data. And you are planning with the 2 acres. So it is fundamentally data. It is an issue of us admitting that we need to digitalize our economy. Now, moving forward, we have rice ready. You see, whether we like it or not, government has a huge responsibility to ensure that whenever we are campaigning or running advocacy for local consumption, we back it with our strength. How many secondary schools do we have in Ghana? Do you know gas? Gas. Even gas we eat. The rice that they serve us, then when they give us a stew that looks like soup, everything was separate. That's what we all ate. We enjoyed it. So why is it that government doesn't have a legislation, policy, whatever you call it, that makes it mandatory for every secondary school? It is without choice. Every secondary school, you need to consume only locally produced rice. Hospitals. All these hospitals, when the patients are admission, we feed them. Our prisons, we feed them. There are several touch points. Training colleges, several touch points, nursing colleges, several touch points where we are consuming rice, where government is actually buying rice.
That's right.
Remember,
that's right.
Government is the one buying the rice. Now, I hear he made a very important point. We may not be able to have warehouses, but who says government is the one supposed to go and buy and hoard? When we wanted to buy gold, what did we do? We carry money and give to private people to go and buy the gold and bring to us. So why? You are buying the rice anyway. If you think that it is a sector that is very, very, very much of importance to you, then that is not an excuse.
Okay.
Don't build warehouses to hold it yourself.
Just a quick
What you need to do, and this one is not me being miracles and going after NDC. No, this is not an NDC business. This is a whole state failure, which we need to find a way to fix.
Correct. Okay.
My view is that the same way government is able to carry money, but that one is NDC. Because if they've been able to carry money and give to gold buyers, physical cash, to go and buy gold and bring to government, then you should be able to carry money to give to private people, to go and buy the rice, aggregate them, keep them somewhere, then as and when your bezes and your matrons in hospitals and schools need them, they go and also buy it, and then go and cook. If you do that, you are guaranteeing the farmer a certain price and a certain buyer. In that case, 2 things will happen. They will not have a situation where we are having now where the rice is stuck. And then 2, the motivation by private sector to go and import so much, knowing very well that buffer stock will buy, would also be low. Go to the buffer stock warehouses. You see plenty imported rices.
That's true.
That has been brought into the country.
That is true.
You understand what I'm saying? This is something that government could have bought. So if government is buying even 70% of the rice we have on the market now, the local ones that are stuck, if government alone is buying 70%, it won't go waste. The secondary schools will consume, the prisons will consume, the hospitals will consume, the training colleges will consume. Then at least these people would
the
have
foreign rice they buy is cheaper.
Who is buying it cheaper?
Because
the government. About you, who caused it? You reduce the currency by 35% artificially for him.
No, I
agree.
Miracles.
I agree. I'm not
see.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Yes, I thought
that is why I said that. Whilst you see, government, you don't look at things in one line. Once you knew,
all of you have been.
Once you forget about it, we don't exist. You see, we don't exist. That argument, when it comes,
I agree with you.
Then get out, bring us, and accuse us. You understand what I'm saying? But so long as we are not in government, everything you say about us is moot. If you were coming into office to do the same thing, so let me land. Let me finish my point.
No, let me quickly interrupt you before you land.
I'll land. Let me land. My point is that if you know that you have a policy of keeping your currency at a certain level, for which reason you do artificial injections, you must be mindful of the implications on the other side. The other cost that you will have to bear is to cushion your local producers. If it means buying their goods at a certain higher price, that is your cost of taking a decision on the other side. Every economic policy decision has a cost.
Yeah.
And you must be ready to cushion them and seeing that as your cost to bear if that is what you want to do. Otherwise, you know what you have to do? Leave the economy. Invest in the real sectors. Yeah. Make sure that you give them time to be able to balance out very well. And that means that you support the rice sector. Let them be able to have the capacity, produce the kind of rice that your citizens want. Then they will have so much in the market that they can compete with importers. That would reduce the importers' search of dollar to go and buy more rice, and it will bring your dollar down. All right. And if you decide not to go down that serious route, but it just pumps dollar into the system to manage your currency, then maybe you must be ready to bear the cost of buying your local producers' rice at a certain price.
So, Samson, let me just quickly add. I mean, it was so convenient for you to swerve the fact that
I just wanted to read some.
It's not convenient. That's
just a bit of a couple of lines from this piece that Manasseh wrote about where he is in the USA. Manasseh has been in the US. He's teaching, and he says that where I am currently, I realize that this rural state has nothing significant to boast about, apart from its vast and seemingly barren land, bereft of the trees and lush vegetation we have in Ghana. The state has no gold, no oil, no diamonds, or any of the many natural resources Ghana is glutted with. It is a dry, bare land which is unfarmable in a greater part of the year, from fall to winter. Yeah. But with a population of less than 2 million, please note that, a population of less than 2 million, Nebraska has a GDP that is almost twice the GDP of Ghana. And what is causing this GDP? It says the state boasts of feeding the world. It is noted for large-scale commercial farming, especially maize, soybean, and livestock. It says his university football team is called something. Research in agriculture is a priority. The cattle population in Nebraska is about 4 times the state's human population. 4 times the human population there. And the state guarantees them a price.
I said it.
We know this is the same everywhere where they are doing well with the agricultural products.
I said it.
The state guarantees them a price and is actively involved in making sure that they produce.
Samson, I was going to respond briefly to my brother here about the. No. We have been told over the last 8 years about digitalization and data. Which one were we talking about today? You said we never have data. So, as I said, yes, we have been told about data for the last. We should focus on data for the last 8 years. Which one are we talking about now?
Why?
We also mentioned about
there's a problem. Yes. Which is not solved.
Yes,
he shouldn't proffer solutions.
No, he's proffering. But what I said,
as I said, were not
Samson, I admitted initially that this is not a political NDC. MPP.
You said it's not political.
I made several points. One of them
was sorry. It's not NDC MPP issue. It is a national issue that we must tackle head on. Now, for example, if you are talking about the high exchange rate that we had previously, we don't produce largely for export. We produce largely for local consumption. Now, if the farmers import using the very high exchange rate, they'll pass it on to the consumer. And now if we have lower rates, how can they pass that on to the consumer? The problems we have is not just as a result of the last 6-7 months currency issue. That is what is producing this at the moment. That is currency manipulation that is causing us this.
But that's a fact you cannot negate.
Yes, we cannot negate it, but it is not largely due to just the exchange rate that has become stronger. That is where we are today. It cannot.
The thing there. It is
no.
Please proceed, because I told him, I reminded him that as far as I have been sitting here, this is an annual ritual.
Good.
It is largely part.
Look,
not entirely.
It is not.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So
largely, we're talking. Let's move on. It is not. We have discussed. All right. You mentioned a lot of things. I've also added, and others here have added. It is not largely due to currency manipulation, as you like to put it.
Thank you. Okay. So we would like to end it here.
No, I beg you.
Yes,
I beg you. Some data we need to get. The SOFI report, State of Food Insecurity report, they've changed it, but I still call SOFI. So it was released recently. We have currently 50 million of our fellow citizens. That's about 45% or more of our fellow citizens who are food insecure. Let's get it clear. That number used to be 11 million in 2016. We have had FASDEP 1, FASDEP 2, PFJ 1, PFJ 2. Where are we? And now we have FGP, Feed Ghana program. Samson, let's call out the politicians. We are tired of the sloganeering. Because if all these policies were actually working, we should actually see a proper improvement in these factors. That increase, think about it, it's over 40%. 11 to what? It's about 40%, I mean slightly lower, to 15 million.
The farmers are going to boycott the Farmers' Day
population increase
to make their point.
I agree. There's nothing to celebrate. And let me give you what's even worse. This is actually what you call a moderate to
I need us to take a break here.
Heavily insecure. The ones that is most desperate is that we've moved from 1.5 million people who hardly get access to food or can manage or access food to 3.2 million, 113% increase. So this politics talk and sloganeering is taking us nowhere. So we have not had a constructive policy that has had a real impact in this country.
As the farmers threaten to boycott the National Farmers' Day, it should not just be that symbolism. The president and the republic must respond. They have asked buffer stock to buy, but buying at a price that makes them to still, lose.
Currency manipulation.
The state needs to take concerted efforts that will resolve this problem and give us rice sufficiency, maize sufficiency, soya beans sufficiency, that this country will be proud of itself in that regard. We take a quick break. When we return, we want to ask the question, are we really fighting Galamsey? Do we not think that we have gotten to a point where those involved in Galamsey, the way they are fighting the state's armed forces, something else have to be done? They have chased the front of Galamsey fights, Naimos, chased them out of a town. They almost killed the leader and his people. He says he was saved by the mercies of God. The EPA boss, Professor Kluche, says they got to a point they were trying to invite them to have a conversation with them. They were called by national security and told that they needed to move from the place immediately because their lives were at stake. And even in moving away from the place, they don't have to return using the same route they came to that place in Obuasi. They had to flee, got into an accident, and some journalists are in hospital as we speak. There were armed military guards with the professor. They had to beat a retreat. We'll be right back.